When the American people elected a criminal, they voted in corruption and lawlessness at the highest level. And now that is extending to people that work under the administration. So we are hearing now Pete Hegseth, who is an abomination to the military. What's going on with the bombing of the boats without due process, without knowing what's going on those boats. Here we have, pop this up. We now have breaking news that military leaders and personnel involved with military operations in Central America have been asked by the Trump administration to sign non-disclosure agreements as reported by Reuters. Here's what I have to say about that. If you have a proprietary interest in something, NDAs are great. Otherwise, you are signing up to do shady shit, full stop. And to ask these military people to sign NDAs tells me this administration knows they are committing crimes.
I completely agree. This is unprecedented. And the fact that they are asking them to sign these NDAs goes along with the same vein of them asking people in the military to take lie detector tests.
Right.
This is a paranoid administration that is doing illegal things, and they are trying to act as swiftly and as quickly as they can to break as much of the government as they can so that they can retain power. And I think they will go as far as cooking the books in the upcoming midterms next year and canceling or having a Putin-style election or Viktor Orban style election in 28. I think that's what their intentions are, because they have already broken so many laws. Even Dumb and Dumber, the sons of the president, have broken so many laws. Hell, I even think the son-in-law. I think everybody, it's been shakedown after felony, after shakedown, after felony, and they're all in on it. And the disgrace of this, Pumps, to put people in the military who took an oath, and they take that very seriously, very earnestly, very patriotically, to put them in a position to do the dirty work of these corrupt men is about the least patriotic thing. And they've done so many unpatriotic things in this regime, but this takes the cake.
This takes the cake. And here's the thing. In my head, Trump thinks he's immune from everything. Pete Hegseth thinks, oh, well, Trump will pardon me. The people he's asking to actually execute these orders, they don't have any cover. And an NDA does not cover criminal acts. So the people that they are putting in vulnerable situations are ultimately going to pay the price. It's not going to be Trump. Shit, he'll be so far gone, he's not going to be able to pass like a diminished capacity test to even stand trial. It's so stunning to me. And it just gets worse. You see it in the military. You see it in the federal agencies run by dog killer Kristi Noem. We find out in a lawsuit that federal agents, pop this up, Kylie, a federal agent shot at an unarmed Black man during a traffic stop earlier this month while working alongside DC police officers, according to 3 of the men's lawyers, who accused city police of misconduct because the gunfire isn't mentioned in the incident report. A DC police officer told a judge he was instructed by a superior not to document the shooting in court record, the lawyer said, and all charges against the man have been dropped. Now, so what we're doing is we're racially profiling people. We're shooting them with no cause, and then we're covering it up, and it's going from the top to the bottom. And this is going to continue to happen in American cities. I fear that.
Well, and this right here just makes me think about when Tyler Robinson was identified, and he conveniently had a text stream that identified his friend as a lover that was trans and being anti-Trump. Everything fit perfectly buttoned up. And that there were people on the left that said, hey, there are law enforcement people that are earnest and wouldn't cook the books on this. And there's just a naivete with some people on the left and in the center that they think that the guy who called, Georgia election officials and said, hey, I need for you to find me 12,000 votes. The guy who still says, I won 2020, they rigged the election against me, that they think that there's integrity surrounding these people. And it's very important to remember the collapse of anybody that's agreed to work for this man. Mm-hmm. He is a convicted felon that pardoned a bunch of convicted felons that tried to kill his vice president. His vice president, who is a total right-winger, nut job, Mike Pence. But he decided that day that he was going to honor his the oath he took to uphold the Constitution. And Trump called him a pussy for it.
Right.
Okay. So everybody in this administration is every bit as corrupt as kinks. And the cover-ups and the shakedowns and the hustles and the cooked books and the cooked evidence will be abundant, and there will be more incoming. And to think anything other than that is naive, completely on its face. Abundantly naive. The government, the rule of law, the way we have known it no longer exists. It is broken, and the Republicans refuse to do anything about it. They refuse to uphold the oath they took to defend and protect the Constitution, and they have abdicated their co-equal branch of power, and so has the Supreme Court.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, in Chicago, agents are tear gassing kids. And so a judge in Chicago is pissed. And let's see what happened. A judge blasted Border Patrol boss Greg Bavino, which Border Patrol in Chicago, okay, for violating her order to stop using excessive force against peaceful protesters and journalists. Kids dressed in Halloween costumes walking to a parade do not pose an immediate threat to the safety of law enforcement officers, the judge said during a Tuesday hearing. They just don't. This judge has also ordered this man to come every single day at 6 p.m. to the courtroom to talk about his activities for the day until a hearing, which is scheduled November 5th on this issue, can be had. And I bring this up to show they are not in any way following the law. They're going in, they're agitating, they're trying to intimidate American citizens. And you make such a great point about the Supreme Court. The lower courts are holding strong. It's the Supreme Court where the weakness is. But in America, you have kids dressed in Halloween costumes going to a parade, and they're getting tear gassed by these people. I mean, just what a bunch of rotten souls. Like Kristi Noem, she shoots her dog. I get it. She's a nut. But like you said, everyone surrounding these people, they are happy to tear gas little kids.
Yes. And the more they do this, they're getting everybody acclimated to this. They're dulling our senses to this. And think about what all they've done just since January of this year until now. Think about like a year from now, all the fuckery and crimes and cruelty and human rights violations, how much worse it's going to get. And again, I understand a group of bad actors. I am just overwhelmed that his approval rating, albeit low, is still in the 30s. Right. This is a real indictment on American culture, that we have nourished a portion of the population to believe in misinformation and to placate to their cruelty. This is not civilized. This is not progress. This is the most regressive administration. And sometimes I sit with awe at the fall.
Yeah.
We've lived it incrementally, but sometimes, Pumps, I wake up in the morning and I think about like, oh my God, we are Americans governed by this immoral, fascist dictator. That happened. Like, we're in the throes of it. we're in the middle of it. He's using the military as his own, mafia hit squad. And when you really think about it, because it happens incrementally, and then all of a sudden you're there, it's breathtaking to me. Having been born here and lived here my whole life, and through and through American woman, the fall and the people that don't speak up. That's the most insidious part to me.
Well, and the people that agree with it, like you would never think somebody who sits on the Supreme Court would now be all in on fascism. Like it's unbelievable. It is mind blowing, the whole thing.
I think, Pumps, I've thought about it and I've thought about it and I've thought about it. And I think a lot of the people that are involved in this movement are either psychopaths, sociopaths, they like it. I'm talking about like Stephen Miller, right?
Right.
And then you've got people that are religious addicts. And you guys, that is a real thing. Like somebody can be an alcoholic, somebody can be a drug addict. A lot of people are religious addicts. And you can Google it and read about it. And these religious addicts, like all addicts, sabotage things. Their default setting is to break things and create collateral damage. And I think even on the Supreme Court, we have some religious addicts. And I think in the administration, we have a ton of religious addicts, Mike Johnson, et cetera, Marco Rubio. And they think, okay, I'm doing a lot of bad shit in my private life. I guarantee you Sam Alito's Google search history is full of a lot of fuckery, all right?
Has to be.
That he would be very, very embarrassed by, that he would make decisions against, okay? And I've thought about it and I've thought about it. Having been born in the Bible Belt and raised around all these religious nuts, I think they think, okay, I can do all of these bad things, but I'm going to curry favor with JC and God if I turn this country into a Christian nationalist country. I think that's the bargain that they've made from having lived in the Bible Belt. I see how the number one goal of evangelical Christianity isn't to do good. And I'm not talking about Black evangelicals, you guys. I'm talking about white evangelical Christians that go to these mega churches and Southern Baptist churches. Their number one goal is recruiting. Mm-hmm. Their number one goal is to recruit people. And they think it's their business to get into other people's, lives. And there's a sect of the Catholic Church. Catholics aren't a monolith. There's a lot of them that are super progressive, don't take the Bible literally, have beautiful spiritual lives. And there's another sect of the Catholic Church, and these are the ones that are on the Supreme Court, that kind of mimic the rigidity of the black and white worldview of evangelical Christians. And I think that's the game they're playing right now, because I've thought about why are they doing this? Why are they going along with this? And I'm like, oh, they think they're going to curry favor if they make this country a Christian nationalist regime. And then if you hear Trump say, I'm trying to get into heaven, has he had conversations with other people that hey, we're all going to get into heaven if we make this place a Christian nationalist country and hand it all over to Jesus?
Well, and Christian nationalists, they have one thing in common. They're all misogynists, they're all racists, and they want to control everybody's behavior. They want to be the boss of everybody else. And that's Trump and the entire administration. Okay, so as a shock to fucking no one, Israel is bombing Gaza again. Put this up. Breaking: Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu orders military to immediately carry out strikes in Gaza. The war crimes continue. The peace was bullshit from jump, in my opinion. So Trump can say, oh, I've ended this war. Now I get a peace prize. It was never, ever going to hold, because they want to develop Gaza as a hotel capital and resort capital of the world. They don't give a shit about people. Come on.
Yeah. And even a minister, I think his name is Ben-Gvir, has said okay, now we need to get back to bombing so that we can develop Gaza. The timing of the whole ceasefire was a Hail Mary attempt to try to get the Nobel Peace Prize for Kanks. That's what the timing of that was. And I read this morning, since that report, that now the ceasefire is back in effect. And so the problem with this entire thing, obviously the genocide, but it is the United States cooperation, United States taxpayer funding of this entire shit show that is a genocide and egregious human rights violations that working class Americans are funding while they fund their debt, while the oligarchs are running around terrified of Zoran Mamdani.
Right. They're scared. They're so scared. Okay, you guys, support our show, buy our book, Life is a Lazy Susan of Shit Sandwiches. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and we will be back with more news.